sympathetic magic is very real. Sympathetic magic is very real because there are laws that the simulacrum is governed by. This is not a this is a very fixed mathematical medium, and anything that's core principles or mathematics would have to be governed by certain protocols and laws that are fixed and are unchangeable. So I have noticed in my own research, and I mentioned this several times in videos, that the simulacrum seems to be operative. Like things like the law of diminishing returns, the law of conservation of energy, the excuse me, the AIX system that tries to bring everybody in the collective. It is subject to those. And the simulacrum, being different from that, seems to be subject to other laws as well. And one of those is the law of correspondences. And in the law of correspondence, we find that like attracts like. So when somebody is acting on, if somebody is you employing an old occult maxim, act as if you are, and you will be. This is a builder protocol trigger. If Jeff Mara decides that he wants to experience this and do this, then what Jeff Mara has to do is build the necessary creative template. And the way he does that is just simply imagine what you want. And once you've imagined what you want, then your physical avatar must follow through, because the simulacrum does not respond to fantasy. It does not respond to daydreaming. People do this every single day, but it does respond to when a fantasy is supported by physicality. As soon as the physical avatar begins to move in the direction that of the mental image, the simulacrum reciprocates. As a builder protocol, it instantly starts knitting into your existence the very conditions that you wanted to experience. And people experience this all the time. If Jeff Mara wants to do something in life, then Jeff Mara, all he has to do is think about what he wants and then move in that direction. As a co-creator with the simulacrum, you do not have to, you are not bound to completing a project. You have to initiate. It is a relationship you have with the simulacrum, and it goes by the properties of sympathetic magic, which is very ancient. And I'll give you an example. Hunters in the Neolithic period, they knew well that if they wanted to shoot a gazelle and feed several families in their community, then they didn't just wake up in the morning with a bow and arrow and go out and hunt a gazelle. They understood the properties of our reality. They understood sympathetic magic, and they worked with reality itself. The oldest traditions assert worldwide it was a tradition for 3 or 4 hunters to get together, pull out an arrow, and draw a circle on the ground. When they drew the circle on the ground, they would then draw a likeness of a gazelle. They would draw anything. It doesn't even matter if it looked like a gazelle. If they all agreed it was a gazelle, then that image was a gazelle, and they would draw it. And then one of them would take their own arrow and shoot the gazelle, the picture of the gazelle in the circle. They would all agree that they were going to shoot that gazelle and it was going to feed them for whatever time they needed to be fed. And then they would turn around and take the arrow itself that they used to draw it, and they would break the circle. They'd leave the gazelle there, and they would leave the arrow in the ground that hit the gazelle. But they would break the circle because they knew that they had built an image. By the properties of sympathetic magic, reality had to reflect back as physical circumstances the very things that they were wanting. And they went through the ritual, and by breaking the circle, they released it into the hologram. They released it into reality so it could respond. Without breaking the circle, they couldn't free the gazelle for them to find it. So this was a very old practice. It's practiced in different ways all around the world. It is the origins of sympathetic magic, and it is exactly how the simulacrum works, but on a more sophisticated level. You don't have to go through all the things that they did. They just understood the system. They understood the world they lived in. They would go out and hunt that day, and they would find a gazelle. And to them, it wasn't even mysterious. So we have to do the same thing. If we want our gazelles in life, all we have to do is build a mental picture. We don't have to go through all that. That was their physical deal. But we have to build a mental picture. In my own case, I needed a contractor van. So I pretended I had one, even though I didn't. I had an old hatchback SUV. I was contracting, doing flagstone work. That vehicle is not qualified to carry the weight of the materials and tools and chemicals and everything that I need for my work. But I pretended it was. I pretended it was a big contractor van. And I don't know if you've seen some of my videos, but I have that van in a lot of my videos. I have a gigantic, fully 3,500 Chevy, a 2017 Chevy Express van. It is massive. It's got all kinds of tools on it, and it's a beautiful black van. But I imagined that into my existence until somebody I came in contact with didn't have a use for the very van that I needed, but they owned it. So I made a deal with them. I paid them every month. I could have never afforded that van because it's way too expensive. It's a huge, beautiful, awesome van, but I would have never been able to afford it. But it came into contact with me very fast when I was working, and the person was more than happy to get rid of it as long as I paid them a little bit every month. And I did that. And after 3 years, they signed the van and sent the title to me. And I had never paid what that van was worth at all. So this is just one example that I show on my channel. When I started my channel, I did not have that van. As I was giving these teachings, and as my channel grew over a 2.5 year period, I show people my 2018 Harley Davidson brand new motorcycle. I show them my van. I show them different buildings that I've had installed on my property. I started my YouTube channel from a wooden shack that anybody can see in my first videos. My very first videos, I was basically injured from a motorcycle accident. I had zero income, $27 in my pocket. And I already knew all this material by virtue of long imprisonment, doing the research, actually practicing it in prison, but getting shoved out into the free world, having to fend for myself and do all these things. It was a whole new experience. And I had lost my way for a while, but I knew I needed to release all my research into the public, and I did it through YouTube. And almost instantly, as soon as I started moving in the direction of educating the public on all the things that I discovered in 2 decades of research in prison, all these beautiful things started happening in my life. Money and circumstances, new housing, properties, everything started coming to me. But at the same time, Jeff, I'm also explaining to people in videos, this is how it happened. It's not because I'm favored. It's because I'm applying the very same principles that I'm teaching others. I'm living this, and this is what's going on. And I'm very well off now. I'm doing very good now. Not just because of a successful YouTube channel, but because these things, I still apply these. I'm dreaming bigger. I'm dreaming how I'm bringing more into contact, more things. And it's so simple. My gazelles have now taken on new forms because the old forms of the gazelles have all been met. Everything that I wanted, got my property, got all my buildings and stuff. I got 6 different buildings on my property now, and they all have different functions. I use them for different purposes. Multiple vehicles, just bought a 3rd vehicle. I'm not bragging. What I'm saying is once you begin vibrating on a certain frequency, you draw into contact with you all those other things in the past, because there's really no such thing as time. Time is illusory inside the construct. We experience things in a linear fashion, but the simulacrum doesn't respond to us that way. Time is very interesting as it's applied to us, because all the accomplishments or things that you ever wanted in the past, they're still there. They're a part of your informed field, and they can instantly appear in the present. And you've seen examples of this in your life as well. When you had dreams when you were younger, things you wanted to experience, things you wanted to bring into contact with your reality, and yet they never manifested. You weren't where you were supposed to be at that part of your life. You were vibrating on a different frequency from the very things you wanted. And then all of a sudden, things are going your way 15 years later, and things are going your way. You're enjoying life. Maybe you got a kid, it raised your vibration, and now all of a sudden, all these things that you really wanted back then, all of a sudden just started manifesting in your life. It's been 15 years, and all of a sudden, bam, 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 all these things come to you, but they no longer have that value, because you've mentally moved on. You've become more mature. These things aren't important to you anymore, but they still came to you. And it's because you hit that frequency that you needed to be on. So once you understand that everything that you ever wanted in life is already here, and the only difference is that there is a distance between you and what you want, not in the physical world. The distance is in frequency, rate of vibration. Once you understand this, then you'll also understand it does not take labor. It does not take work to bring even the most difficult things into your reality. It doesn't take these things. It takes an awareness that the very things that you want in life are everywhere. They're abundant. The simulacrum is a provider, and everything you want is here. And the only reason you don't have the things you want in your life is because you are in negative default programming. You are basically part of the herd mentality. You are listening to mainstream media. You are listening to the collective around you. You are not obeying that intuitive, innate spark to go your own way, do your own things, get in that meditative spell by yourself, and just build the world mentally that you want, and then just go out and start moving in that direction. You think you have. I'm not talking to you personally, Jeff.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying that you think you have to go out there and build everything that you want in life. And that's not a relationship. If you have a relationship with the oversoul, then it's a co-creator relationship. And that means you only need to do your part. And any belief that you have to do the all actually nullifies anything coming to you, because it is a relationship. And if you can't see it as a relationship that you just have to initiate, then you'll never receive the things you want in life. Basically calling the oversoul a liar, that it won't provide these things if you think that you have to do it.